Imagine a man so stupid that his own neighbors turned his life into a game. The game was simple. Think of the single dumbest business idea you possibly can. Something guaranteed to lose money, so idiotic no person alive could profit from it. Then walk over to this man, keep a straight face, and tell him it's a brilliant investment. They played this game for years, the richest men in town taking turns, waiting for the day it finally bankrupted him and ran him out of town for good. Here's the part they couldn't explain. It kept making him richer. Not once. Not by luck. Again and again, every single time, the most idiotic idea they could invent turned to gold in this man's hands, until the people trying to destroy him started to wonder if they were the stupid ones, and by the end of this, you'll have to decide something people still can't agree on. Whether you just watched the luckiest fool who ever lived, or the most brilliant con man in American history, hiding in plain sight. His name was Timothy Dexter, and to understand why everyone was so sure he was an idiot, you have to start with where he came from. He was born in 1747, dirt poor, on a farm in Massachusetts. He got maybe a few months of schooling in his whole life. He could barely read, and he could barely write. At 8, he was working as a farmhand. At 16, he was apprenticed to a man who made leather goods, and that was his whole education. Dirt and leather. By every measure the world uses to size a person up, Timothy Dexter was nothing and was going to stay nothing. Except for one move, the first clue that maybe something else was going on. At 22, this penniless, barely literate leather worker somehow convinced a wealthy widow to marry him. She had money, she had a house, and just like that, Dexter had the one thing he'd never had: a stake. Now hold on, because here's where he made the bet everyone thought would ruin him. It's the American Revolution. The colonies are printing their own money, continental currency, and as the war drags on, it becomes a joke, worth pennies on the dollar. Everyone with any sense is dumping it as fast as they can. Timothy Dexter did the opposite. He took his money and his wife's money and bought up piles of the worthless stuff nobody wanted. The whole town watched the fool pour his fortune into paper that would never be worth anything, and they laughed. And then the war ended, a new country formed, and the new government's financial system gave holders of that discarded currency a path to trade it in and recover its value. Overnight, the worthless paper Dexter had been hoarding became a fortune. He was suddenly, genuinely rich. And this is where the story gets uncomfortable, because a lucky idiot can win once. But Dexter was about to make a habit of it, and the more it happened, the harder it became to call it luck at all. Because now he had money, and wanted the one thing it couldn't buy: respect. He wanted in with the town's elite, and they wanted nothing to do with him. To them, he was a crude, uneducated embarrassment who'd stumbled into wealth he didn't deserve. So they came up with a plan. Dexter had started buying ships to become a proper merchant, and the merchants of Newburyport saw their opening. They'd feed him terrible advice, dressed up as insider tips, the most ruinous trades they could invent. He'd sink his fortune, lose everything, and finally be gone. Here was the first one. One of them suggested, straight-faced, that Dexter ship bed-warming pans to the West Indies. Think about how cruel that is. A bed-warming pan is a metal pan you fill with hot coals to warm a freezing bed on a New England winter night. The West Indies is a tropical paradise where it is never cold. It's like shipping snow shovels to the desert, a guaranteed total loss. Dexter loved the idea. He bought thousands of the pans, some accounts say over 40,000, and shipped them south. The merchants could hardly contain themselves. Finally. And then the ships came back, with a profit. Because Dexter's man on the ground took one look at these long-handled metal scoops with lids and realized they were